Welcome back everybody to another episode of our weekly Moto News Roundup, where this time we'll look at Norton's plans to build their new bikes in the UK, M&P go out of business, CF Moto could be ready in a bigger off-road biased adventure bike, Honda have new paint for their ADV 350, Suzuki get a new logo, Yamaha and Triumph have new dirt bike updates, Kawasaki are maybe rumoured to kill off their ZX-10R. We've got a speed record, a stunt record. Yamaha have got a weird idea for a vibrating electric. And we'll round off with an unusual looking gadget for shorter riders with taller bikes. But first up, a quick reminder that this month's giveaway is still open, which we're running in collaboration with Break Free. Now, in case you missed the last episode, the main prize is one of their Break Free units, which sticks to the back of pretty much all helmets, and it makes you super visible behind, but also it can react to its internal accelerometer and gyroscope and detect when you're decelerating. So basically it will flash brighter if you're slowing down, and that's both from braking and from engine braking, so hopefully avoids those rear end shunts which can be quite nasty. So it's a great product and a great prize. I've been testing it out quite a lot recently, but also we've bundled in a whole bunch of other brilliant safety related prizes. One of them is a heated visor from Visin. You can choose from their website one that will fit your lid, and this is going to give you perfect visibility even in these darker, wetter winter months. Then an airbag vest from Alpinestars. What a great addition. It's an amazing prize again, so a massive thanks to them for throwing this in. And naturally, if you do ever have a spill, then having that nice extra barrier between you and the road surface or any obstacles is going to minimize the chances of coming away with some nasty injuries. Then we're also throwing in a top of the range Pack Talk Pro from our partners at Cardo, and not only is this the best of the best in terms of headsets, but also it gets their crash detection feature, which alerts an emergency contact if you did have a spill out on the road. Genuinely, I think this is a crazy good bundle of prizes, so do check out the link down in the description below to get yourself entered, and also you'll find down there a bunch of discount codes if you do fancy picking any of these products up. So once again, a massive thanks to Break Free for supporting the channel and making this very generous giveaway possible. So let's jump into our first story this week, and it's no huge secret that Norton are preparing a whole bunch of bikes to be launched in November. They've been pretty public about the fact that they're refreshing their V4 sports bike, but also bringing in a new lineup of more affordable 450 parallel twins that are going to be made in India by their owners at TVS. But this week we did learn a new detail, and that's that the production of the top-end bikes, so one assumes the V4 lineup, will remain in the UK at their HQ in Solihull. Not only that, but they're currently refitting it in preparation for the new production line. And so yeah, I think that's probably good news. I think it gives some authenticity to selling these bikes with the Norton badge on the tank. Now, the executive director at Norton said that Norton Solihull HQ is at the heart of our global resurgence strategy. By investing in cutting-edge British manufacturing, we're ensuring that Norton continues to set the benchmark in design, engineering, technology, and performance. This is more than an investment in Norton, it's an investment in British industry, in engineering talent, and proud heritage that's made Norton motorcycles world-renowned. With the backing of TVS, we're building the foundations for long-term success and the global growth of the Norton business. Certainly sounds promising, and hopefully we'll be able to go up to Solihull for a look at some point. In fact, we've already seen spy shots of that new V4 sports bike, and it's got to be said, it looks really quite nice and has a little bit of almost Italian design flair about it. I think a fair few of you have said that the front end looks quite a lot like one of the older Panigales. But yeah, that Italian design flair may become increasingly common in the Norton lineup, because this week TVS just announced that they've bought Italian automotive design and engineering company Engines Engineering. That means that their new TVS Global Centre of Excellence for Design and Engineering will be located in Bologna in Italy. So hopefully good news for the Nortons, probably good news that will trickle down to the TVS bikes as well. And so I'm expecting some tasty looking bikes in the coming months and years. Now, in their press release, they confirmed that in addition to bolstering TVS Motors' premium and future-ready product pipeline, the Centre of Excellence will also add new capabilities to Norton Motorcycles, the company's iconic British mark, supporting its ambition to craft modern luxury motorcycles with cutting-edge performance and design. So yeah, I'm feeling like Nortons might get pretty damn good in the next few years. But look, from one bit of good news perhaps for a British brand to one much worse piece of news for a British business, it appears that the huge UK biking retailer M&P is about to shut down or has already shut down. You see, they recently cancelled a bike night. Some customers have reported being turned away for servicing and MOTs. And now their website isn't taking orders and their Google Maps listing shows them as permanently closed. Then in the last couple of days, they posted this update on social media. And so things certainly do look pretty terminal. Not only did they sell parts, accessories and clothing, but also they dealt a number of the big name manufacturers, along with selling a selection of used bikes. And so this follows on from a number of other dealer closures over the last year or two. And so I'd love to know what you think down in the comments. Is this a trend that's going to continue in the coming years? Or is it just a temporary, albeit fairly significant dip? Hopefully the latter, but let me know what you think in the comments. Now on to some new bike news, and thanks to Demotor Nos Entas for tipping me off on Instagram for this one. He sent me a DM. But yeah, Spanish motorcycle news website Todo Circuito, which, admittedly I wouldn't have found this story myself if he hadn't sent it to me. They claimed that a larger sibling to CF Moto's 800 MTX adventure bike is on the way, and they're saying it's a 1000 MTX with an inline triple engine that's said to make about 111 horsepower. That would put it right in competition with the Tiger 900 from Triumph, for example, but also BMW's F900 GS, KTM's 890, the Norton 901, and all that kind of mid to large capacity adventure bike. One would imagine, though, it would come in quite a bit cheaper than some of the competition, with it being produced in China and without a big European brand on the tank. So perhaps we'll see a new benchmark in this segment, which was kind of what they did when they launched the 450 MT about a year or two back. Now, thing is, there's not a great deal of substantiation to this one in the article, so I'm not quite sure if this is a dead cert or a bit of a prediction, but they do seem to have quite a lot of very specific details, and so maybe it's the latter. They're saying a peak torque figure of 105 Newton meters, a curb weight of 215, which is pretty slim, and a full suite of tech, all managed through an 8-inch full-color TFT dash. Sounds great, to be fair, and they're saying if it does come to fruition, well, it's expected to be announced in November, so potentially another one to keep an eye out for at EICMA. If you fancy something a little more sedate though, then perhaps have a look at Honda's ADV 350, might do the trick. And just this week, they've announced new colours for it. Ta-da! It's grey, white and black. Oh, and there is a grey one with some little fluo stripes, just to bring a bit of the party atmosphere. But yeah, I mean, it's quite nice looking for a scooter, to be fair to them, but perhaps they could have done a bit more. In fact, it's a closely run race for underwhelming design change of the week, but Suzuki might just edge it with their new redesigned logo. Here's the old one, and here's the new one. It's a little bit less shiny looking, but that's about it. I'd love to know how much they paid for this one. I bet a bunch of focus groups and brainstorming sessions went into it. On to the dirt bike front though, and Yamaha have just brought back their WR125R. And to be fair, this one looks like a good bit of fun to me. It's their little 125 single. It makes 15 horsepower peak at 10,000 RPM, and it's done with a variable valve actuation system that helps them hit that maximum peak power figure for this particular class of bike. It is a great little engine. I really enjoyed it when I tested the XSR 125. And then for the rest of the bike on this one, well, suspension and brakes are fairly simple. It's an LCD dash, so a fairly basic looking thing, but it is super fuel efficient at 113 claimed miles per gallon, and also nice and slender at 138 kilograms wet. It's a tall bike, as you'd expect for this sort of genre. 875mm in the seat, I believe. But yeah, if you want a little green laner, then this looks pretty good. Unfortunately, no price as of yet, but again, this one's going to be on show at Motorcycle Live here in the UK, so I'd expect the price before then or at the show. On top of that, we've got another new motocross bike from Triumph. This time it's the TF450X. And this one does get a price, it's just shy of 10 grand, with a 60 horsepower 450 single in a 108 kilogram chassis. Now the engine is carried over from the RC version, although there are some improvements for this year, like the clutch and also the gearbox, which they say gives slicker shifts also aided by the fact that you've got a standard fit quick shifter. There's KYB suspension, Brembo brakes, Pirelli tyres, and an electronics package that includes launch control, traction control, 2 engine maps, and more. Looks very slick to me too in their Triumph racing colours. That's a nice looking bike, and I'm not necessarily a connoisseur of dirt bikes. So yeah, from some nice new machines to potentially one being killed off, with Rider Part reporting that they reckon Kawasaki might be about to knock the ZX-10R on the head. You see, the rationale is that they've just announced new colours for pretty much most of their other sports bikes, so the Ninja 650, the ZX-4RR, the ZX-6R, this is the same in the UK as well. But curiously, the ZX-10R isn't present, and so that's got Rider Part speculating that either they won't update it or they're holding off for a more significant update, which might come again around EICMA in November. My bet is the latter. I just can't see them realistically killing this bike off in the next month or two. But you never know, I guess. Some other big name sports bikes have been given the chop over the past few years, like the R1. Now, in other news, Indian set a speed record this week with an unlikely set of wheels. You see, their racing division headed to Bonneville Salt Flats with their King of the Baggers race bike, an Indian Challenger. Piloted by their two-time champ, Tyler O'Hara, they set a new maximum for the AMA 2000cc APS AG class, which is snappily named, reaching 194.384 miles per hour, which smashes the previous record set on a Triumph in 1972 of 169 miles per hour. On top of that, we also recently reported that UK stunt rider Johnny Davies, aka JD Stunts, was set to attempt a Guinness World Record of the fastest high chair wheelie. Well, it turns out he did it at 127 miles per hour, although this one was a little closer run with the previous record standing at 125. Still, impressive all the same, and not one that I'll be attempting myself anytime soon. Now, Visor Down report this week that Yamaha are working on an electric motorcycle, but one that's built to feel like an internal combustion engine. This pattern is super weird. It shows a bike with an electric motor that drives the rear wheel, as you might expect, but it also goes on to drive a crank, which is basically connected to a fake engine. When I say fake, it's got all the gubbins though to give you the exact same vibes and sound, including, the crankshaft that pushes and pulls a piston, and there's also valves at the top as well, and so it does draw in air, push it out, and that goes out through a resonator, which is said to give basically the same sound as an exhaust. It's craziness. I mean, I know it's just a patent, so the chances of it being made are perhaps quite slim, but it goes to show the lengths that manufacturers might have to go to, or certainly stuff that they're thinking about, in order to get your typical biker to even consider looking at an electric. Fair play to Visor Down for digging that one up. A very good story, and so do check out the link if you want to see all their details, along with all the different diagrams of the complexity of it. Anyway, we'll round off this week with an unusual device that Tim spotted on Instagram and kindly sent to me, because if you're a shorter rider with a taller bike, maybe that's some of the reason why he sent it to me. Anyway, perhaps take a look at this product from Up Bikers. Not only practical, but also gives you a little bit of that 70s platform vibe, so very cool looking as well. As always, I'd love to know what you think of the stories this week, so do let us know down in the comments below. I'll put a playlist as well on the screen now of our videos from this week in case you missed any of them, so you can catch up. Full review of the Tracer 9 GT Plus, which is absolutely rammed with tech. A little bit of a riding vlog as well on my Bonneville, plus a full roundup of the new-ish Z1100 from Kawasaki, and also the very impressive looking Panigale V4R. Do hit subscribe if you want to see more of the latest motorcycle news and reviews right here on MOTOBOB. A massive thanks for watching today, and we'll see you in the next video.